Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Thurston County. I'm Gordon Elwood.
And I'm Greta Morley-Dixon.
Today, our guest is Mike Hoover, a parliamentarian in the Washington State House. Hi, Mike.
Good morning.
So, let's start at the beginning. Where did you go to school?
Well, I went to school in California, primary and high school in California, and then I also went to college at Cal State Sacramento, which is in Sacramento, just like it sounds, and I went to law school at the University of California at Hastings College of the Law, which is in San Francisco.
Nice. So, all California.
Yep, all California.
So, what made you interested in law?
What made me interested in law is that I thought it was a good way to solve problems. I've always had an interest in solving problems and hopefully bringing people together. And law seemed like a natural way to learn the rules and the process that is most useful to help people solve problems.
Interesting.
Nice.
Smart.
So,
Smart.
what type of lawyer are you? There's like so many types of lawyers.
I'm not a very good one, but how can I answer that differently? I am what most lawyers that you speak to would say. I have what's called a non-traditional practice of law. So I don't go to court very often. I do occasionally, and I don't go to, I wouldn't be the kind of lawyer that you would come in off the street if you needed help.
All right.
What I do essentially is I provide legal, ethical, and parliamentary advice to the legislature and its members, specifically the House of Representatives. And what that really means is if there are rules for the legislature, just like there are rules in a sports event, like for soccer that's going on right now in the World Cup. There's rules and there's referees that enforce the rules. And I wouldn't be a referee. The referee would be more in the House. It would probably be the Speaker of the House. In the Senate, it would be the Lieutenant Governor. But I advise the referee. So I advise the Speaker. When I was with the Senate, I advise the Lieutenant Governor so that he can make sure the rules are being properly followed.
That's nice. That's a good and very important thing to do.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
What is your what do you think is your specialty at work, and why do you think it's your specialty?
What is my specialty at work? I could answer that a number of different ways, but I'm going to pick this. My specialty at work is actually not exactly related to law. It is being a good predictor. I am good at predicting things. And what I mean by that is I am very good at predicting how a select group of people, usually legislators, will react in a given situation.
That's good.
And I provide that advice both to them and to the people they're trying to persuade to do something that they want, like pass a bill. I'm very good at predicting what language in a bill will work, what won't work, how various people might see an issue, and then I can share that advice, and I think that helps make me successful.
Yeah, that's a very important skill to have when you're advising. But on the flip side, what's the hardest part of your job? What do you...
The hardest part and the easiest part of my job are kind of the same. They are the people. I love working with the people I work with, and at times the people I work for and with can be challenging. It's very hard to... people come to the legislature because they're usually passionate about issues. They're very interested in solving problems. They want to help people. They're very opinionated and feel very strongly about their ideas. Given our political system, not everybody agrees with them. And I'm often the person that has to tell them no. I'm not telling them no. I'm telling them no on behalf of someone else, or I'm sharing bad news that somebody doesn't agree with them and doesn't want to do their idea. And that's very tough.
Yeah, people can be difficult.
People are difficult.
Yeah.
And they're great too.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, where would we be without them? What does it feel like to have an influence over state politics? Because if you're advising someone, then they're probably going to take that into account. So you have an influence. How does that feel?
I do have an influence. It feels good. The answer is I enjoy it. I view it as a trust. I really do. I view it as a trust by the people I work for, and it sounds a little corny, but I view it as a trust by the people of our state. And I try to remember that, even from the morning when I walk into the building. I work in a fabulous building, and I always try to be cognizant and remember that this is an amazing place with amazing people in an amazing setting, and not just have it be my job and not just a place I work from 9 to 5 or whatever. I enjoy it. I get to be a part or be at the table when a lot of important things are decided policy-wise. I get to do that without having to run for office, which is very nice. I don't enjoy campaigning. I don't like doing that, so I don't think I would be well suited to that. So this is sort of an alternative way to sort of be in the room and get a little bit of influence, but not have to do the campaign work.
It's really nice. Yeah. It seems like we've been talking a lot about your work life. That was kind of the main focus of the interview, but what do you like to do when you're not at work? What do you do in your time off?
What do I do in my time off? Well, I haven't done this recently, but my biggest hobby is haunted houses. I used to work on a charity haunted house, and I'm very into Halloween. I like building props, and I used to be part of a 10,000 square foot haunted house right here in Thurston County. We had to close it a few years back because we lost the place we were doing it, and we haven't reopened it, but I'd like to again. And I just enjoyed that. That was fun.
Halloween's an awesome time of the year.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's
Free
great.
candy.
It's my favorite time.
Yeah. And
So, during your time off, like, what, like, do you have time to just have you time?
Me time?
Yeah.
My wife doesn't like me having mic time. What do I do? Yeah, I get a lot of time off. I do a lot of reading. I do things that are very typical. I watch TV. I like to go on hikes and travel if I can. I even play video games sometimes with my boys from time to time. I'm not very good, so yeah.
So I know that politics is kind of a long year-round thing. Is there a time of the year when you do a lot of work and a kind of the time of year when you do less work?
There is. From about, I would say, late December, so it's right after Christmas time, or right usually when people are typically on winter break, through about May is typically when I'm gearing up and doing very busy work. That's when the legislature will start being in session for either a short or a long session. The session is where they're in town in Olympia. They come from all over the state. They're here in Olympia, and they're actually considering legislation and passing it. That's the busy time of year. That's an astoundingly busy time of year for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. Thanks for joining us here on Let's Talk Thurston County. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did.
Hello, welcome to Let's Talk Thurston County. I'm Casey Sadie.
And I'm in Boggs.
Today we have a special guest speaker, Ned Hayes.
Thanks for having me.
So Ned, you're a writer. Would you like to tell us more about your books?
Absolutely. This is my newest book. It's called Sinful Folk. It's set in the medieval era, and I've been really excited to have it be a bestseller in Thurston County.
That's good.
And then I have some other books that I've written as well that are set in other periods, but mostly I write historical fiction.
That's interesting. Are your books well known?
Well, I'm happy to have them well known locally. They've received some really wonderful national reviews, but they haven't hit the New York Times bestseller list yet, so hopefully that'll happen at some point.
I have another question. When did you want to become a writer?
Probably since I was about eight years old. I started writing back then and just kept writing books, and eventually got one published.
That's interesting.
What's your purpose for writing Sinful Folk?
Well, Sinful Folk has an interesting backstory. I did some graduate work in medieval literature in Chaucer, and there's a small little thing I read in a graduate thesis about a woman, about a group of people, actually, not just a woman, who went across England in the middle of winter after their children were killed, and they were asking for justice, and that's all the historical record tells us. But I found it really curious and strange that these people would travel in the middle of winter, especially after their children were killed. Why were they doing this? So I ended up having, not really a vision, but an idea for what might have happened when the fire started. And I pictured this woman waking up in the night and not knowing what had happened to her child, and then going on this trip, and through the course of the trip, her discovering what really happened with that fire. And so I wrote the story to tell her experience, and also to hopefully have her redeem some of the things that she had lost over the time period that she traveled.
Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you, Ned, for coming. It's been a pleasure talking to you. This has been Let's Talk Thurston County. Thanks for watching.
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Thurston County. I'm Zach Crawford and this is Lauren Shett, and we're here with Ned Hayes, author of historical fiction. And yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit about your books.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, what inspired you to start writing historical fiction?
I found it interesting to step back into a different period where I didn't have all the distractions of, iPads and phones and Facebook, and instead strip back experience to kind of the basics of our relationship to each other, our connection to our families, and our basic needs. And so stepping way back into the medieval era, I felt allowed me some access to what really makes people tick. Now, what's interesting about writing in the medieval era is that you can't solve problems the easy way by having somebody call somebody else or even send a letter. There was none of that. So it simplified some things and made other things more complicated.
So why do you like to write historical fiction? Is it just because it's a different experience?
I like telling stories, and stories are set in time. So when I started my first novel, my first published novel, that is, Coeur d'Alene Waters, I was actually writing in the 1980s. And by the time I finished the novel and really got it out, it was the 2000s. So it turned into kind of historical fiction, even though I didn't really intend it. Oh. But then I stepped way back in time for the medieval novel, Sinful Folk. And I think I like writing about other eras and other times because I can remove my own kind of assumptions about what life is like and step into somebody else's life entirely.
Is there a lot of extra research involved when you have to write these books?
For this particular book, there was a lot of research. I mean, this book has Latin, a little bit of Greek, French, a lot of French, and Hebrew in it. And so I actually had to know a little bit about all those languages to be able to put something in there. And I even got the French wrong. Once I took it to my copy editor, they found someone who was more experienced with archaic French, and they were able to fix some errors that I'd made. Yeah. But there's a lot of research into medieval literature and culture as well that I did. But I did some of that research in graduate school, which is why I was able to write the book.
Yeah.
So how long do you usually take to write a book like this size?
Well, this is 400 pages. And so if you think about writing about a page a day, which is about 250 to 500 words, then it takes about a year to write the first draft. And that's the easy part. The hard part is revising. So I had several friends who were gracious enough to read early drafts and tell me how it was not working, and I was able to revise it to fix it and make it better. And that took about 2.5 years.
Wow. So we know that the setting is obviously not part of your real life, but do you base the characters off people you know, or are they totally made up?
That's a really good question. I think we all, as writers, we all base our characters on some aspect of ourselves or of people we know, just because we live with other human beings. Yeah. So we're like, hey, that's an interesting moment. I think I'll put that in the book. But no, this book I didn't base on anyone that I know, other than I know a lot of really wonderful, strong women, and I was able to draw on their experiences for her perspective in the novel.
Yeah.
At what age did you start getting into historical fiction?
Well, as a reader, I've always read historical fiction, along with every other genre I can think of. But as a writer, I think it was really in graduate school when I started thinking about writing stories set back in the periods I was studying. Yeah.
So we've talked about your books, so can we just talk a little bit more about your life outside of your writing career?
I guess.
So we know you also work at Intel, and so being an author is probably a very different experience, but which job do you think you like better?
Well, writing provides a lot of really joyful experience. it's almost like a waking dream if you're writing for a few hours and you just really get in the flow. But writing can be very isolating. You have to do it solo. You don't have a collaborative group with you. And what I like about working at Intel or at other software companies is that collaboration of a group of people pulling together in the same direction.
Yeah, so thank you for coming and sharing about your writing career and your life with us. It was really interesting to hear. And thank you to our viewers for supporting this program. So I'm Lauren Shutt, and this is Zach Crawford, and this has been Let's Talk Thurston County.
Hello, welcome to Let's Talk Thurston County. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Jessica, and we're here with our special guest, Debra Vincell, the CEO of TCTV.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
That's good. So our first question for you is, how did you become the CEO of TCTV?
Well, I have been in community media for almost 30 years, and I had an opportunity to interview for this position 23 and a half years ago. I was running a community media center in Southern California and interviewed for the position here, and they liked me, and they hired me, and the rest is history.
That's good.
Yep. So what do you like about your job?
I think I have always really loved what I do as a career, and not just here at TCTV, but for the last 30 years I've really been privileged to work in community media. And the difference between community media and other things that you may see on television is that it really is for the community and by the community. So we bring people in to teach them how to use media production tools like cameras and editing, and help them tell their own stories and tell stories in the community.
I know I have learned a lot about the
Good, that's good.
So my question is, so I know you have 2 dogs.
I
and
do.
I know that you love animals.
I do.
So are there any other animals that you've had as pets, or do you want to have as pets?
I was always the kid who would bring home the stray cats and dogs. When I was 3, my family was having a photo session, and my mom turned around to look for me and asked where I was, and the photographer said, "She's coming over here with the cat." And my parents looked at each other and said, "What cat?" And I had found a cat, somewhere and dragged him in, and he's in all these pictures with the family. And so I've always loved animals.
So I know you love television and how it teaches people. Is there a certain form of television, like reality TV or drama or something that you like to watch the most?
Well, I tend to, when I watch something other than the TCTV channels, I tend to watch news channels just because I'm kind of a news junkie. I like to see what's going on in the world.
That's important.
And because I do what I do, I also watch a lot of different channels. So if something big happens politically, right now in the news, this whole discussion about the IRS is very it's a very big story that everybody's covering. And I like to watch different news channels to see how they present it, because if you watch CNN or MSNBC or Fox, specifically the cable channels, you will see very different presentations of the same information. And so, that's kind of what I do. It sounds incredibly boring to some people, but I am kind of a policy wonk. But I also do have to say that my husband and I are big Game of Thrones fans. And we also have really enjoyed watching House of Cards on Netflix. So anything that's a really good drama that's really well scripted and really well shot, I'll be there too.
Have you always loved film and showing people how to
media
things?
My decision on a career path, it took a couple right and left turns along the way. It dawned on me when my father passed on that he actually was probably the inspiration for me wanting to look through a viewfinder, because Dad was always taking home movies. And he was one of those that it didn't matter what you were doing. The movie camera was out, and it was like, oh gosh, Dad, with the movies. But it was kind of one of those things I hadn't really thought a lot about how that influenced me until I was looking at his equipment and went, oh, maybe this is where I get this. But like I said, when I was little, when I was 5, I wanted to be a cowgirl. Because I was kind of horse crazy. But for a long time, I thought a veterinarian, and then when I went to college, I actually studied landscape architecture for several years before I got into television. So I went a lot of different paths. And the story there, and or kind of the moral to that story, is to do what makes you happy. And I got into landscape architecture for the wrong reasons, because I thought it was the right thing. And, you know, it didn't make me happy. And it was hard for me to kind of, you know, fit into that mold I was trying to push myself into. Because for all of the years up to that, I'd been a singer and a dancer, and I'd been involved in community theater. And, you know, how I ended up in landscape architecture, that's a whole nother program. But when I really found out that, and when I decided I wasn't happy, media, television seemed to be a really good place for me to be, and I've never looked back. It's been a really good fit. So.
Cool. So, well, it was nice having you here, and thanks for talking with us. It was a lot of fun.
It's been my pleasure. You guys did a great job.
I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Jessica.
And this has been Let's Talk Thurston County. Bye. Hello and welcome to Talk Time Travel. I'm Anastasia, the last Grand Duchess, and I'm here with
J35S1CA. But you can call me J35.
And what century are you from?
I am from the 22nd century, actually.
So she just traveled here by time machine, and I'm going to ask her some questions about the future. So J53, whatever. So my first question for you is, overall, what is the new technology in the future?
Well, there's a lot of advanced technology. I know that there's a lot more better technology than now. But for example, there's Japan. They just recently finished their Shimizu Megacity Pyramid project. It's like this giant pyramid thing, even greater than the Great Pyramid. That's in Egypt, if you're wondering. But it can house like 1,000 more people in Tokyo, so there won't be any overpopulation. You know what Tokyo is, right? Oh, Tokyo is currently the capital of Japan. It's overpopulated a lot.
That's a problem.
Yep.
It's good you solved it.
Well, I didn't solve it. It's those smart people that did.
Oh, so are kings and queens still rulers or not so much?
No, I heard that we got rid of them a little bit down the road. I think they were talking about it in history class. I kind of fell asleep. But in England, they still have some kings and queens, but they're more symbolic. But we don't have kings and queens anymore, the place I'm from.
Oh. So who is the current leader of the United States? Where are you from?
Well, we have presidents now, but right now our president is G00K. He's a pretty good president, actually.
So, speaking of ruling, have you ever thought of using like unhuman machines as leaders or anything?
We've kind of thought about it, but then some of those smart people were like, but those robots could outsmart us, destroy us, overtake us, use us, and stuff like that. We don't want that.
Nope, we don't. So, do humans still live just on Earth, or have they like moved and are there colonies on other, like Moon and other planets?
Yes, we've kind of taken over the Moon. The Moon was supposed to be like our light at night, but yes, we've taken over the Moon, and we've went to Mars a little bit.
Are there any new current uncurable disorders or diseases that are going around that are problems?
Well, one of them that have just been recently appearing, we don't know how it has started, and we're working on that. It's called the purple elephant syndrome. It makes people purple and giant. And so now we have a lot of giant purple people.
That's a problem. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you for coming. I enjoyed
it was a
chatting
pleasure
with
to
you.
be here, and I'm probably going to go back and tell people about this amazing person I found on Anastasia.
Thank you. Well, this has been Talk Time Travel. Thanks for watching.
Hello, I'm your host, Greta Morley Dixon, the She Demon, and We are proud to welcome you to Let's Talk Time Travel. Today, we have a special guest, Pierre, the French Revolutionary. Hello.
Vive la France.
What?
Oh, I mean, it means life to France. Life to France.
Okay. Anyway, so, Pierre, we are honored to have you on the show, and
Great to be here.
And I have a feeling you pretty much have no idea what those metal things are.
I have no idea what those metal things are.
They're called the camera.
Camera. What do they do? Or do they just watch at you with their big square eyes and circular mouths? What do they do?
In a sense, yes. Do you know what recording means?
Recording. Like, recording. Like, what do you mean? No.
Recording is kind of like where they watch everything you do, but then they remember everything and they can show other people later.
Really?
Yes.
You can do that? You can just get a moment and just have it?
Yes.
It's magic.
In a sense.
Didn't know magic was possible in the future. Magic. Wow. Magic.
Yep. Magic. Do you guys have magic?
Magic? No.
At all?
We have no magic.
No?
We don't do magic. We are simple. We don't need magic. We do our own work.
Interesting. So, I've heard that you guys are working on overthrowing the king.
That is right. He's doing a terrible job. He needs to die. Well, he doesn't need to die, I guess. We just need to have a new king. Or maybe not even a king, maybe a better ruler that will help us on our way to a better nation of France.
Okay. Well, if you stayed in the future, you would probably have that. But of course, I'm sure you would like to return to your family.
I cannot stay in this magic land.
So you need to return to your family.
I do. I need to help with the cause. Cannot leave them to die.
No. Darn it, they can't come visit me. Anyway. So what kind of stuff do you guys do?
What kind of stuff do we do?
Like,
we build barricades. We built this really cool barricade. And it's going to help us win the war.
So if you don't mind me asking, what happened?
Oh, I got into a fight at a bar with this really annoying guy named Enjolras. He's a great leader and stuff, but I don't like him. So I fought him. He got it worse, though. Got it worse. Are you going to send me back now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Time Travel.
Hello, welcome to Let's Talk Time Travel. I am Dr. Cray Cray, and with me I have my co-host, Zach Crawford. Today we're going to be interviewing a couple of time travelers from the future, Vivian Starr and, what's your name again?
Doctor.
Dr. Who?
Exactly, that's my name.
Well, I have my first question. What are movies like in the future?
Movies. Okay, movies are 5Ds. You can touch the objects, you can interact with them, but you can't touch the actresses. And the sounds are louder, so it feels like you're in the movie. So, yeah, it's really cool.
So I see the movie technology has changed, but has like transportation changed at all?
Yes, good question. Well, now instead of running on gas, we run on batteries. We float in the air, so the cars move through the air.
Everything is solar powered.
Yes.
Okay. What are the relationships between animals and humans in the future?
Well, I have a tiger living in my house, so we can't talk with them. We haven't figured out how to do that yet, but we're able to walk with them without them harming us or us harming them. So we don't eat meat.
No.
Oh, how do you guys eat then?
We have food replicators.
Oh, what do they do?
Well, you say, I want pizza or I want chicken. You just say it and it automatically gives it to you.
It appears in your food replicator.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So are there any like different new things that are a normal thing to have in someone's house in the future?
Well, the replicators, yeah.
Yeah.
What's become of the technology?
Technology. Well, we got rid of phones ages ago. The whole touchscreen idea was really unsanitary, and just people would drop them in toilets, and it was a really bad idea. You guys
Totally
were
true.
complete idiots. Anyway, so we do holograms now, so you can it just projects your what was on your screen before, and you just select what you want. You can also talk to them. Most things are voice activated.
Oh.
Yes.
So has there been any more space travel, like people trying to live permanently on different planets?
I don't think so. We've never tried. We've never tried. We like our bubbles. We like to stay where we are.
But do you guys still travel to more faraway places?
Well, we do have houses underwater, so that's how far we go. So we don't really go out of space or from the Earth. So yeah.
Also, like, what do you do with, do you guys still live on land?
Yes.
Fully?
Yes, you can live on land or under the water. I have both, so.
Most people still live on land,
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I would see that.
Is the world still able to, like, support people?
Yeah, of course.
Well, obviously it is.
Is the population growing massively?
Well, no, not anymore. They've put limitations on population growth.
What are the limitations?
Well, you can only have a certain number of children per family, only 2 people.
How many?
2 people per family, 2 children per family.
Yeah.
Per family unit. The overpopulation thing is not.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
We've got to leave the animals their space. I don't understand what's funny.
Me neither, dude.
Seriously.
That's funny.
I don't know.
I don't understand humor in this time.
Yeah, they're
It's
awkward.
ridiculous.
Yeah, they are. So, about fashion. Oh my gosh, we really have to talk about fashion. So, so we have dresses like this. Since I'm the star, everyone wants to dress like me. We have dresses, and on one leg you have. What's so funny? Seriously, we have one jeans, and then we have heels, and then we have heels on the other. So, I dress like this, and everyone comes to me and is like, "Oh my gosh, you're so cool. We want to dress like you." So. So yeah.
So since you're a star, is it like hard to go around? Are there paparazzi?
Trust me, they're everywhere.
And finally, our last question is, what's up with the transportation?
We have flying cars. We don't use gas. We use batteries. So.
It's solar powered.
Solar powered batteries.
The metal grid and the tracks that the solar cars hover over actually charges them as they move.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you guys, and that's it today for Let's Talk Time Travel.